Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us today. I really appreciate your willingness to participate in this fashion today. It was, not our ideal of how these things should happen, but we're just trying to roll with it. So we'll give a few more minutes for folks to jump on. Not really sure how many people are joining us today. We sent the email to over 80 people, so there's a possibility that we'll have a lot. I guess there's a possibility we'll have a few. We'll give a few more minutes. I'd like for everyone to be able to introduce themselves and maybe tell who your swimmers are and what groups they're in, just so we can get to know each other a little bit. But if we get too many people, we may end up just having you type that in the chat. But like I say, we'll give it a few more minutes before we do that. I'm guessing some of you are at the pool. Hope you can hear okay. So we really promised to try to keep this to 30 minutes. So I don't want to wait too much longer. So maybe I'll just go ahead and introduce myself for a quick minute. And then since we only have a few right now, maybe we'll ask you all to do that as well. My name is Amy Jovich. My daughter is Cami. She's a senior in the senior group this year. And I'm also married to Coach Matt. So if you know Coach Matt, then now you know my family. So we've been involved with the Barracudas since Cami was in the second grade. So a good 10 years we've been with the team. It's been a great experience for our family. Lots of ups, lots of downs, but we've met some amazing people. So I'm really grateful to be a part of this organization. And I hope that you all have as good of an experience as we have had. Let's see, I think since we only have a few right now, maybe if you all don't mind, we'll go ahead and let you introduce yourselves. And I'm just gonna, I don't know if you all are in the order on your screen as I see it. So I'm just gonna call out the names of the people that I see here. So it says Amber's iPhone.
Hi, I'm Amber. Sorry, I'm in the middle of multitasking. So I just finished up a workout, so I'm so sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
I have Bryce. He's on the challenge group. We transitioned to the Barracudas last June, and super happy.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for joining us today too. Next I see Evan.
Yeah, I'm Evan Slofelt. Maya Slofelt would be our swimmer. She's in the development group. She's 8, just about to go into the 9-year-old group in about a month. So, but yeah, it's been our second year basically, and it's been a lot of fun. Awesome.
Thanks, Evan. For those just jumping on, we're going to try to let everyone introduce themselves quickly. So I see, is it Katina? Am I saying that correctly?
Yes.
Give us the quick spiel about you and your swimmer.
It's loud here. We're driving to Denver. It is. She is about 8 people, and so far we are really.
Thanks. I actually couldn't hear you, so if you are able to, it sounds like you're traveling. If you want to type your info in the chat, that would be awesome. How about Nicole?
I'm Nicole. I have a 6-year-old swimmer, Blake. She's actually in with Coach Matt right now swimming, and I'm in the car listening in to the meeting. So this is our second year. We didn't do much last year with COVID, so this is the first year she's really doing meets, and she just loves it. It's really great. So
awesome. Thanks for joining today. Julie.
Hi, yeah, thank you. I'm Julie Henningsen. My daughter Wilder is 13 and she's in the challenge group, and this is her second year, although she took a few years off after her first year. And then my son Cormac is 7 and he's in the development group, his first year, and he's enjoying it.
Awesome. Julie, did you do this PCA training before when Wilder was on the team?
No, I've not done this before.
Okay, well, thanks for joining in. I was thinking that you had. So how about Virginia? Oh, maybe she's still.
Hi, I'm Virginia. I'm actually in the car driving my swimmer to drop him off because he starts in 20 minutes. His name is Weston. He's 9. This is our first time with Barracudas and he's loving it. We've been super impressed with the program.
Awesome. Thanks for joining today. Angela,
Hi, sorry, I was having some some video problems there.
no problem.
My son's name is Caleb, and he started swimming kind of later in the spring this year and had a little bit of swim time before the time of the time change. So we stopped swimming after that for a little bit. But he's back this fall, and he is about 6 3/4, not quite 4, so, or not quite 7. I mean.
Awesome. Thank you. Christina.
Well, hello there. This is Christina. I have 3 kids on the team and I'm part of the development zone. Riley, who's with me actually. Hi. We had an equipment malfunction, so she's not at practice today. Mom forgot to put her bag in the car. Callahan and Quinn are in Challenge Blue, and we have been on the team for 5 years almost. And we've had swimmers for the last 12 years.
Wow, super experienced. So as Christina mentioned, she's on the committee. We call it the development zone. If you watch the TED Talk with Jim Thompson, you know what we're talking about. Just a platform where we can raise better athletes, better people. Our task with the development zone is to build a positive culture, maintain the positive culture that we have on this team. Christina, jump in at any time if you want to interrupt me. The Barracudas have been partnered with PCA for 7 years. The board at that time brought in PCA as a way to help the coaches communicate better with the athletes. And what they discovered immediately was that PCA was good, not only for the coaches, but for the whole team in developing really good relationships. So, you know, the board turns over often. And every year I ask, you know, are we still doing PCA? Do you still want to do this? And every year it's unanimous. The board says, yes, we need to have the concepts of Positive Coaching Alliance present in our team at all times. So I feel good about that. I want you all to know that we do the parent training, but our coaches also do training. There's a 3-part video series, and we ask the coaches to do one every year. So, you know, they're getting their side of things as well as the parents. And then we try to work on, you know, getting the kids the concepts, but the coaches do all that. So how many of you had a chance to watch the TED Talk, or had you seen it before perhaps? Maybe give a thumbs up if you had seen it. No, if you haven't had a chance to view it, I would encourage you to do it. It's 14 minutes. You can put it on double speed, but it really, I think, does a good job of explaining why we are using this program with the Barracudas. And so I will also ask you all, did you all get a chance to look at the survey? We sent out that survey. Did anyone get a chance to do it? Let me see if I can share it. This will take me a second because I haven't been on Zoom in a bit. I don't know, are you all seeing that survey? Okay, so if you can just maybe take a minute to read the headings, and if you could just look over them, you are assigned 100 points, and just, you know, you don't have to share if you don't want to, but we want to know what your goals are for your swimmer. So from your perspective, not from the perspective of your athlete, but from your perspective, why do you have your kids, not just in swimming, but why do you have them in sports? So we'll take a few minutes, again, 100 points, put the most points in the category that, you know, is the most important to you. And I will take volunteers who care to share how they assess their points.
What does the top of that form say in terms of how to score?
Oh, so you have 100 points and you can divide them across any of those goals.
Oh, okay.
And then if your goals are not on there, feel free to add them. Anyone? Anyone?
From me, I mean, I want my daughter to be active. And I find when she gets home from school, that's sometimes difficult in Montana, just with the weather. So I know that at least 3 days a week, she's getting good exercise, and she looks forward to it. She's made so many great friends. So those are my top two for sure, just to be active, have fun with her friends that she's made.
Awesome. Thanks, Nicole. Does
You're welcome.
anyone else care to share? No?
Sorry, I have to turn my, whoops, there we go. Did you get my video? I have to turn my camera off and on because I got kids in the car.
Okay.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
So, I mean, my things are very similar. It's about being active. It's about building confidence. It's about learning a skill that I feel like they can do lifelong. So.
Awesome. Great. I'm going to turn that off now. Did anyone else want to share maybe some different goals? Are you feeling? Christine, I'll pick on you. I might ask you to share.
Well, I know that I feel like our kids have really learned from defeat. Like COVID was a really emotional year for a lot of us. And I think our kids really learned a lot about how to deal with, change and disappointment. And I mean, the world shut down March 11th and the kids were supposed to get a major meet on March 14th. And that was to see how they've grown and embraced the change. And, it's impacting them outside of the swimming pool, because to see them, tackle challenges with challenging teachers or homework assignments, like they've been able to overcome and have some really good coping strategies on how they can go about doing stuff. And I have to say they got some good practice, real life on swim.
Thanks, Christina. So what we've discovered in 7 years of doing this training is that, I mean, we've probably had 100 plus people come through this and do this with us. We had one person who selected winning as the main reason they put their kid in sports, one person. And I'll tell you right now, that person is reformed and would not choose that today. But yeah, I mean, people want their kids to have a good experience, to be active, to make friends, to have a good time. I mean, who doesn't want that for their own kids? So we have found that PCA, oh yes, go ahead, Julie.
I was going to say all those goals are true for me too, but for my son, honestly, it was a practical thing. I want him to learn to swim. It's such a good life skill, and to be comfortable around water and just to be safe around water.
That's great. Thanks for mentioning that. This survey came straight from PCA and they cover all sports, not just swimming. That would definitely be one that we should add to our list for future training. So thank you for bringing that up. Super important one here. But again, so the goal, is just to develop a good atmosphere for the kids to experience those goals. And it isn't always about getting a specific time. And so that's what we like about Positive Coaching Alliance, is that our mantra is better athletes, better people. Those are the two goals of the team. And so the way we approach that is through, if you watch the video, double goal coaching, which means the coaches address the better athlete and the better person part. And then we are the second goal parents. So we don't worry about the athlete part. We worry about the better people part. And that means just taking care of our kids, getting to the pool, getting them the food, supplying whatever they need to be able to participate. But what we don't do is coach. And so in the past, we've approached it from the perspective of coaches coach, parents parent. Coach Hans, you may have discovered, likes the terminology wet side, dry side. So we are the dry side. And so what happens a lot is, it gets blurry and we sort of cross the lines of, becoming coaches. And so if you don't mind, I'll share some examples. With one of our first trainings, a parent shared this, and we have her permission to share it again, but she and her husband coached from the sidelines, like from the deck, they coached their son, fast arms, do fast arms. Let's go fast arms, fast arms, fast arms. And did that for like a whole season. And then finally the coach approached them and said, you know, we're coaching your son to slow his tempo down. So you are coaching him directly the opposite of what we're asking him to do. So I thought that was a really good example of how sometimes when we think we're doing the right thing and we're helping, we are really undermining what the coaches are attempting to do. And whether or not you have never been a swimmer before, or if you're an Olympic swimmer, if you're not the coach, it's not really your place to be coaching. And so that is hard. That is really hard. But I tell everyone all the time, I am drinking the Kool-Aid here. I have bought into PCA so hard because with our oldest daughter, who was a volleyball player, my husband and I had both played a lot of volleyball. And so we were hardcore coaching from the sidelines. And then after we joined swim and got involved this way, I realized how awful it was for my daughter. She was embarrassed by us. We were coaching the opposite of what her coaches were asking her to do and putting her in a horrible position of being in the middle and having to decide, do I do what my mom and dad asked me? Do I do what the coaches asked me? So I finally realized that I have to let go of all that and let the swimming be owned by my daughter. So it's now her thing. It's not my thing anymore. And all I do is get her to the pool, get her food, provide what she needs to have a good experience. Christina, would you be willing to share your perspective? Because I appreciated what you said the other day.
So I am a liberated swim mom. I was a swimmer, and I was a distance swimmer and all of that. So I even coached swimming for a while in my younger years. And so my kids know that my role is to be their financial backer. And so it's the whole joke, like Riley's over here giggling at me. So, when the kids need to sign up for a meet and they have to, pick their events, I put it on the kids. And yeah, my kids are a little bit older, but like have a conversation with your swimmers about what do they want to swim, because they're the one that gets to do the swimming, so like they get the voice and the choice, and I'm just the financial backer. I help them make sure they've got the right suits, all of that kind of stuff. And then, I get to really, truly sit back and enjoy swimming. I love watching swimming. I loved competing in swimming. I don't love DQing a swimmer when I'm an official, but I get to really sit back and love just being their mom. And like, Amy, I'm thinking we're going to talk about like ways you can fill your kids' tanks. And, and there's times when Quinn was swimming the 500 and he's only 11, but I think the first time he swam it, he was like 9 and he wasn't doing flip turns. And I was like, I love your open turns instead of going flip turn, so you get to just be their parent and be their number one fan. And that's the best part, because you don't have to coach, just be their number one fan.
So I'm curious how the rest of you are feeling. We've been around the pool for quite a bit. So, like she said, we've kind of been liberated and we've evolved in our relationship with parents and coaches. But I'm curious how you all are feeling or how this feels to you. Anyone?
I find it refreshing because I don't want to be their coach. I am not a swimmer. I've never been a swimmer. But in some ways I feel guilty because I don't know how to help her. Mm-hmm. So this feels like a load off my shoulders. Like, they're going to take care of it because we know nothing. So, and I think that's just part of growing and developing and being a part of the team. So I find this helpful.
Awesome. Thanks, Nicole. Evan, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I would say the same thing. We're all professionals or what we do, and I do what I do well. And I'm guessing Coach Matt knows a heck of a lot more about swimming than I do. And it is refreshing to just let experts do what experts do. And I'm just going to stay out of the way.
Awesome. Thanks. A couple things I'll insert here. If you are ever in doubt or if your kids say, I don't know what to do about this, the standard response is talk to your coach. The problem is when they're really young, they are afraid to talk to their coaches, even if they've been around for a bit. Jason's voice is super intimidating, or, Hans is like, oh, so it can be really intimidating. And so I would just encourage you to sort of role play it with your kids and say, right, pretend I'm Matt, how would you say this? And let them practice asking. But I guarantee you the coaches would rather talk to the kids about things like their technique, or, what time should I start my warm up, or, what turns should I do? The coaches want to be the ones to talk about that. So I appreciate that you're all on board with that. Please do not feel like we're running around with clipboards being the PCA police, like seeing who's doing what. We're not doing that at all. We just want to share with you a way that you can enjoy a swim meet and enjoy your swimmer a lot more. If you have a hard time at swim meets, like not getting in there and yelling and screaming and all that, couple things. PCA recommends no verbs coaching, no verbs cheering. So we do this usually when we have our in-person training, but we try to come up with ways that you can cheer without using any verbs. So everyone wants to say kick, right? Kick, kick, kick. Everyone yells that, but kick's a verb. So they would encourage you not to do that. So you can whistle, you can wave, you can say their name. There's lots of different ways that you can cheer without actually using verbs. But the other way that you can really keep yourself from getting too engaged is by volunteering. So that was coming, right? You knew we were going to encourage that. You can time at meets. We are always looking for officials because we have, people move on when their kids graduate. Not all of them come back and officiate still. So if you want to be trained as an official, the team would love to meet you and have you do that. Or like running the computer, there's lots of jobs that can be done. And it really is a way where you can step back and feel like you're contributing to the team. And you're still supporting your kid, but you're not in there coaching them. So, Christina, what am I missing?
No, really, like I find myself, I fall to the kick all the time because like that's what Jason's yelling at the same time. But so I'm totally guilty of doing that one. No one's going to be perfect. But I think really just being liberated from like having to tell them like, okay, what are you going to do? All of that kind of stuff is great. Just be your number one fan for your kids, I think is really a huge part of it. I did have one more thought and then it escaped me a minute ago. So it'll come back to me.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for that. Something else that I wanted to mention is when we first started PCA, we saw a lot of this where people stopped coaching their own kid and started coaching someone else's. So just be mindful of that. It's really easy to kind of forget and lose yourself. One thing that happened once that was really uncomfortable, we were at a state meet and we had a group of like 9-year-old girls who were trying to qualify for a upper level meet, like in a different state, and they needed a certain time. And so one of the moms said, oh, easy. If you all just swim a 110, you got it. Well, 3 of the girls knew they were never going to get a 110 at that meet, and they completely went to tears. And so with, you have a relay of 4 people and 3 of them are crying, you're definitely not going to swim very well. And the coach was like, what happened? They were all fine a minute ago. And so that parent had a good intention, of course. They weren't trying to undermine, but that was the result. So I would just encourage you to keep, have your filters on, not everything. Your kids don't need to hear everything. And then the coaches are always really promoting the process-oriented goals. So, having a good kick, getting good tempo, a good flip turn versus let's get that 110, let's get the 58, let's get the, 36, 10 or whatever. They don't really focus on that. They focus on everything else because when that comes together, the time comes along by itself. So, one other thing I just wanted to mention, as a takeaway, we've asked the coaches before, what's one thing that we should share, maybe that you would like the coaches or like the parents to know. And the one thing that they would appreciate is that if you need to talk to the coach, that you not interrupt them during practice or at a swim meet. So you can approach them before or after. But, especially at a swim meet when it's so crazy. I mean, I guess at practice too, they're responsible for all these kids and their safety. Safety is the number one thing. And it's really hard to try to, manage all those pieces if the parent's trying to talk to you.
One of the things, Amy, along with that is like the coaches really want to build that relationship with the swimmers, with them as the coach and the swimmer as the swimmer. And so if you want to like have a conversation with a coach, have your kids practice like asking for that meeting, even if it's like, can we talk for 5 minutes after practice about something? Because that's going to help strengthen the relationship between the swimmer and the coach. And really that's how the coach then learns your swimmer as just a human. And then you've got the village component going. It's like, we really do have a super strong village in the swim community, and our coaches are a big part of it. So helping your child ask for that meeting or ask for that help is a big part too, because there's the roles we talk about: the parent's parent, the coach's coach, and then the swimmers swim. So like my boys they wanted to have a goal setting meeting with Jason. And so I was the one that, reached out to Jason, but said, the boys want to have a conversation with you about what they want to do with swimming. Jason was fabulous. He sat down with the kids and met with him. And like, they have very clear goals now about what they're going to do in each practice and whatnot. And it was just me asking for the meeting. And then you didn't have to, I literally sat there and listened. It was super fun. Again, financial backer.
Thanks, Christina. One last point that I'd like to make, and then we'll let you guys, share anything that you want to. So within that mantra of coaches coach and parents parent, keep in mind that we are keeping our eyes on the coaches too, so that they're not trying to parent. We had a situation a few years ago where a coach wanted a requirement to be on the team was for the middle school and high school kids to carry a certain GPA. And the board shut that down and said, no, that's a parenting thing. That's not a coaching thing. And I think that coach had come from a experience of coaching in a high school. So I could see where that would be a requirement, but in a club sport, I kept saying, it's probably swimming that's keeping those kids having a little bit of a GPA that, So anyway, just know that it goes both ways, right? It's not just about parents minding their own, but it's about coaches minding their own. And frankly, we pay them to coach. So, they'll coach and they won't step or cross the line when it comes to parenting too, or we hope they won't. So, all right, we have like 3 minutes left. So anything anyone wants to share or questions you may have?
More of a comment statement. Just seeing like at meets, where you see the culture that the Barracudas has made. And I can say after being a fly on the wall at a few meets, that culture is not the same with all organizations. And I saw some pretty impressive disasters of some coach interactions with some kids as well as parents. And you just looked at it and you're like, holy crap, what is that? And so the culture that you guys are putting together is clearly working because it's a positive experience. Matt has time for them, even though he's got 99 kids at a meet. When he walks by 2 seconds after your kid has swam and already knows if they're shaved off a few seconds or whatever, it's like, I didn't even know that. Like, how do you retain such stuff? So it's very impressive from a business point of view and like just the numbers and the flow of the organization. So I enjoy it. So clearly what is being done is working. And so I'd say good job to Matt, but I didn't set up a meeting with him to say that. So I'm just saying that right now. So you can tell him when he gets home.
That is great. Thank you for that feedback. We appreciate that. And, anytime you want to join this committee, we try to do host events where we are filling emotional tanks, just so all groups feel appreciated and valued. So we do events for the coaches, for the board, for the parents and the athletes. So we just try to fill those tanks. That was advice that came straight from a PCA mentor who came to Bozeman to do the introductory session for the board like 7 years ago. And he said, you guys are doing everything right. Let's see more of filling tanks so that people feel appreciated and they don't feel bad about their performance or whatever. So that's one thing we try to do. So that's part of what our committee is tasked with. So if anyone wants to be a part of that, let me know. I'll be transitioning out this year since my daughter's graduating. So I'd be happy to have more folks step up. The more the merrier. Any other feedback? All right, well, feel free to reach out through email or text, call, whatever you like. I'm not at the pool very often. Christina, maybe you're there a little bit. But certainly the coaches know how to reach out to us if you need to talk to us. But yeah, I appreciate you all coming to this today. Thank you very much. If you know other parents who are on the fence about doing it, please encourage them to join the next couple. All right.
Thank you.
That is all. It's 4:45.
Thank
We
you.
did it. Good job. Have a good evening, everyone. Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving.
Take care. Thank you.
Mhm.